Hello. Welcome to my first YouTube channel video as of May 2025. You may see some old videos that I shared 12 years ago or more, but I have not posted anything since then. And I think a part of it is my own um, nervousness or not wanting to be perceived or anxiety or imposter syndrome, whatever. So if you don't know me, my name is Theresa and I go by Tree. And my channel right now is called Miss Tree School. Sort of a play on that. I used to be a daycare teacher and I was called Miss Tree. And it also sounds like mystery. I'm not a big fan of school, and so it's really my spin on how I see things. So I'm just actually going to today jump into a video with some slides that I made surrounding tomorrow's full moon. And then I'll be back to share some other things about what I intend to do with this channel and a little bit about who I am if you don't know who I am. Um, One thing I want to note is that my laptop, bear with me, I updated it and it's a little laggy. So I'm going to share my screen and I will be up in the corner. And at times, yeah, my video might lag, but you don't even necessarily need to be looking at the screen. You can just listen if you want to. So we're going to talk about the full moon energy and some other things surrounding and a couple cards that I pulled at the end. So let's just get into this. Give me one moment. Let me go back here. Um, okay, and a little bit about me also is that I like to take bits and pieces of things from different sources because I don't really think we need to rewrite and reframe and restructure so much. But like I said, I will share more about how I see things. For right now, roll along with this or roll along with me on this full moon journey, or not. I'm over here on the East Coast in the States, and so for me, the full moon will be on Monday, May 12th, around 12:56 p.m. This little blurb of text is taken from the Farmer's Almanac. I'm just going to read it, okay? May's flower moon name should be no surprise. Flowers spring forth across North America in abundance this month. Flower moon has been attributed to the Algonquin peoples as confirmed by Christina Ruddy of the Algonquin Way Cultural Center in Pequawanagan, Ontario. May's moon was also called the Month of Flowers by Jonathan Carver in his 1798 publication, Travels Through the Interior Parts of North America, 1766, 67, and 68, as a likely Dakota name. Carver stayed with the now Darcey, Dakota over a period of time. His expedition covered the Great Lakes region, including the Wisconsin and Minnesota areas. Henry David Thoreau sparked the Native American moon names as well, referencing the flower moon and Carver when he wrote about Native Americans. So already a lot of layers of history and lore from different things. And this is a different chunk from the same article. May's moon names tend to speak to the arrival of spring and all that it entails. And I'm sure, depending on where you live, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's fall. So in the northern hemisphere, it's more fitting that it's the flower moon. And so you might notice that the birds are building their nests and the flowers are beginning to bloom. The Cree names for this moon are the budding moon, the and leaf budding moon, and they celebrate the awakening of local flora, which really begins to leaf out now in many areas. Similarly, the planting moon, Dakota, Lakota, marks the time when seeds should be started for the farming season ahead. And I know right here where I am, there's a lot of rain this week. And so the idea is that it's a good time to get those seeds in the ground and let Mother Nature do her thing. The activities of animals marked spring's arrivals too, which is highlighted by the Cree names egg-laying moon and frog moon, as well as the Oglala term moon of the shedding ponies. All three names indicate that warmer weather is on the way. So that's from Farmer's Almanac, and I just wanted to use that to introduce. And as you can see on this slide, I added these flowers, and right there, the moon, that's not a moon, that's a pearl. Um, which I have nothing more to say about right now, but I will talk about pearls in some other videos. So, okay, we have these gene keys that I wanted to highlight. And if you're unfamiliar with the gene keys, I will not be explaining them right now either, but for a short little blurb, they are one layer of Chinese astrology, the I Ching, and these 64 hexagrams that you can see existing in many layers and ways within certain geometries in this earthly plane. So, one other example that would be like a 64-bit computer. Not that there are not other bits, but there's certain geometries that flower in certain significant ways. So I will not be reading all of these either, but I did want to leave these here if you wanted to screenshot it or whatever. Whatever you want. It could just be the energy you're taking from it. So we have the sidereal sun, and yes, I will talk about like sidereal and tropical. I'm not an astrologer, and I'm not here to tell you which methodology to follow, and I will not argue about it. So again, if this is not for you, it's just not for you. We don't need to like everyone and everything we come across. Um, so sidereal, and we're looking at a couple lenses today actually with sidereal. We're not going to spend a ton of time because I really just wanted to like face my fears of posting a video and share some of the stuff that I saw with this full moon. So we have the sun conjunct, or sun and Uranus, which yes are conjunct. Conjunct meaning near each other, like a fusion energy of sorts. In gene key 3 in the sidereal approach, and the moon is in gene key 50. Scoot over to the right side there, and you have tropical, and the sun is in gene key 23. Uranus is in gene key 8, and the moon is in gene key 13. I mean, 43. Sorry. I haven't used this text before, so I'm not the best at reading it. But these are the gene keys that you see here: 3, 8, 23, 43, and 50. And so my birthday is this week. So my sun sign is in 3 or 8, depending on the lens that you're looking at it. So I am hype. I'm here for it. But I'm also a Taurus, and we love our birthdays. I will say May Tauruses might be the best people ever. I'm hesitant to say that because, I don't want to offend anyone, but it's a Taurus thing. Um, so yeah, I digress. Let's just look at these stones and minerals even down the line. We have copper, silver, emerald, cinnabar, danburite. That is quite a fucking lineup. It's nice. Um, and then yeah, let's just see. Does anything else stand out here? We have difficulty in the beginning, holding together, splitting apart, resoluteness, and the cauldron. I really like the cauldron energy. It's a certain kind of uncomfortability that I feel like allows us to see ourselves in a certain way. And I will say, I like to look at everything in my own way. So although I am utilizing different sources, just like in case you do want to watch any videos of mine in the future after this, I may not approach something like the gene keys the same way as other people do. So I like to say take it with a grain of salt. But one thing I think is fun to sort of look at with the spectrum of consciousness with the gene keys is, for example, with gene key 50, it's the bottom line here. You cannot have corruption without harmony. And equilibrium is, of course, involved in that, but that would be like the middle range. So the idea is that you get to corruption, from corruption to harmony through equilibrium. So I am just highlighting that a spectrum is not a line. And it is maybe it's not even a circle, and it's like both. So I invite you to take things with a grain of salt and continue along this journey here with me. This is from Mastering the Zodiac. So this is a 13 sign true sidereal approach. And so I'll probably I'll do my best to remember, but link things in the description in case you want to go look up your own chart or explore for yourself. Like I said, I don't call myself an astrologer. Part of me is like, don't say this, Theresa, but I call myself an astral ogre. Not really, but I am. I like to be a little obnoxious, so I will say things like that. I'm not an astrologer, okay? Don't rely on me for things, but I like to share how I see things. So again, roll with me or don't. But this is an Aries sun and a Libra moon energy. And I do want to note, because I'll be talking about it a bit, Uranus and Taurus. So you see how close the sun is with Uranus up there at the top. But Taurus, I mean, Uranus is in Taurus. And here the sun is what we're looking at with Aries. So, okay, let's look at another chart here. What do we have here? We have equal housing that I did, and this is 13 sign true sidereal Kanatas approach from down here at the bottom. You see the logo, the Genetic Matrix website, which recently added in Juno and the Vertex, and I enjoy that, um, astrologer or not. So we see here a Taurus sun and a Libra moon. That is interesting. Uranus still in Taurus, though. This is a whole sign housing 12 sign sidereal chart. Aries sun, Libra moon. Uranus in Taurus. And here we have whole sign tropical, 12 sign, of course. Taurus sun, Scorpio moon. I have one last approach here where I added in a bunch of asteroids and some fixed stars. Some things I've been looking at because I just taught this like 6 month class. I don't know if I could even call it that, but what's up if you're from there and you're here? I love you. And I love everyone else too. Um, okay, so this is from astro.com. So again, I'll list it at the bottom if you're unfamiliar, but and I know this is blurry here, this list of placements, but bear with me. Okay, so a lot of energy, and this is tropical. So if you don't like that, sorry, but not. We have Pisces, Aries, Taurus. This is like the metaphysical into the physical. Taurus often gets a nod as like you're boring, but it's also like isn't being in a body not always the easiest thing to process and experience? Maybe not always the funnest, and not even talked about when you're young. Like, what am I doing here? How to get in this body? What is reincarnation? So all this emphasis, and then you see emphasis down there at Scorpio. So again, this would shift depending on the signage of the approach. So Libra energy with a sidereal approach. Um, One thing I want to point out before we move on, and I won't really come back to this, and it's related to the class that I was teaching, which is the Alice in Wonderland asteroids, because I feel like we've been in quite a Mad Hattery time. So Alice asteroid is here in tropical Cancer. And then we have Mad Hatter in Leo. Let's see, Mad Hatter is at 19 degrees Leo and it's near Mars. It's 8 degrees away from Mars. So, some people would not consider that a conjunction. I do because I like the chaos of it. But also, mind you, Mars is going to continue to move forward and be closer. So at some point, it's going to be still, behind the Mad Hatter, and then it will cross over it. Um, so it's something to think about. Over here, I also included the White Rabbit, and it's in Sagittarius and 12 sign tropical here. I know I'm repeating myself a bit, but I'm just trying to establish this viewpoint. So that's pretty intense. Alice is like this girl, the sane person in a world that's gone mad, and the Mad Hatter is someone who isn't maybe as mad or insane as he seems when you have the time to listen to his story. And then the White Rabbit, without even getting to the character, because I don't necessarily know all the lore of Alice in Wonderland. I'm just playing around here. The White Rabbit is an energy that's been brought up so much in all the conspiracy lands. And so, with it being in Sagittarius, this like arrow of truth energy, and it is, you could say, kind of opposite Jupiter here. Not exactly, but yeah, yeah. Um, maybe you're late, or maybe you're right on time, or time has been frozen in some way. We live in this realm where people could call it a prison planet, or a simulation, or a dream, whatever. I don't necessarily see it that way. But like I said, I'll share a little bit more about how I do see things. So without getting into all of these things right now, we're gonna just see what I wrote next because I don't remember. Okay. So this is what I highlighted. So I'll go back a slide. Astro.com has more of the variability that I could use here to show these things. So you have Algol up here in that Taurus department, um, which is also aligned with my natal sun. So we have Algol at 26 degrees Taurus, I believe that says, and the sun is at 22 degrees. And we can add in some other things. I threw Sedna in there and whatever, but really we're focused on Algol and the sun and Uranus. So Uranus is at 26 degrees. Oh yeah, it's on my sun. How can I forget? It's been on my natal sun forever, it feels. Okay, so we have this sun, Algol, Uranus energy, and then I'm making the noises. We're looking opposite here, down in Scorpio or Libra, if we're looking at the sidereal lens. We have the moon near not only Juno, but Medusa as well. And if you're familiar with Algol, it is referencing a story of Medusa in some way. But in my opinion, like with everything here, there's many stories, many perspectives, and there's much contention on what is the truth and what is right. And so I feel like we're in this paradigm shifty moment. So I'll read some of this, which is just two blurbs taken from maybe Wikipedia. I think one of them's Wikipedia, I think, and the other is no, one's Ascension Glossary, and the other one is maybe Ascension Glossary also. Um, but let me read this here. So Medusa. Medusa is one, and I'm not gonna, okay, let me pause. I will only be going so deep right now. So if you feel called to look into something further, I invite you and encourage you to do that from your own lens. I don't like to tell people how to see things, but I like to share how I see things. So, okay, Medusa is one of the most iconic figures in Greek mythology. Initially, she was a beautiful maiden and a priestess in the temple of Athena. However, her life took a tragic turn due to a series of events involving Poseidon, the god of the sea. According to the myth, Poseidon violated Medusa in Athena's temple, an act that deeply angered the goddess. In response, Athena transformed Medusa into a gorgon, a fearsome creature with snakes for hair and a gaze that could turn anyone who looked into her eyes to stone. This transformation marked Medusa's fall from grace and her entry into infamy. Eventually, she was slain by the hero Perseus, who used her severed head as a weapon before giving it to Athena. The head retained its petrifying power and was mounted on Athena's shield, the Aegis. Algol. So I put that opposite sign there. So, oppositions can be, and with a full moon, it's naturally going to be the sun and the moon opposite each other there. So it can be like a polarity, an opposition, a fight, polarity integration, a mirror, yin and a yang, where they're not opposites even, but they're both involved in the same arena, the same sphere of life and living and consciousness. Two seemingly very different energies that actually have a bridge between them. So highlighted for this full moon transit is Medusa opposite Algol. And Algol, if you don't know, a fixed star. I might have already mentioned that. in the constellation Perseus near Taurus. Medusa here is an asteroid. Algol, also known as the demon's head, has been misunderstood by a fearful patriarchy who saw this star as the most evil star in the sky. That's why I love that my sun is conjunct this because I think sometimes me just sharing my opinions feels evil to people, but okay. Algol symbolizes the head of the Gorgon, Medusa, a misjudged beauty whose conscious coupling with Poseidon within a sacred temple brought down the wrath of her righteous, jealous sister who transformed her into an ugly hag, and so I'm repeating some, whose glaring eyes would turn anyone to stone, whose menstrual blood either killed or healed whoever it touched, and whose serpent hair both symbolized energy and fertility. On the head, the hair signifies higher spiritual forces, and below the waist, it indicates the fertilizing forces. Algol slash Medusa depicts everything that man fears in life: the fury of the suppressed feminine soul, the rage and violence of nature, the fine line between madness and wisdom and life and death, the depth and power of a woman's sexuality. And sexual energy, it's so much more than makey babies, heavy sex. I don't know why I said it like that, but I did. Okay, so some full moon aspects, other than that opposition. This year's May full moon falls in perceivable sidereal Libra with the Aries sun and tropical Scorpio with the Taurus sun. Although you saw with those charts, it varies, where there's that Taurus sun with the Libra moon. Okay. While the zodiac signs remain shifting depending on the lens taken, the aspects continue to seem to align. So, what is aspecting during this full moon phase? Um, I just touched on fixed star Algol nearing alignment with the sun, which is aligned with Uranus. These are other things going on, and I will not be touching on all of them. But again, this is something that if you feel called, I invite you to look in more deeply to the major and minor aspects listed here. And of course, there's probably more going on than these things, but this is what I chose to glean and gather in my journeying. So, like I've mentioned, the Sun conjunct Uranus and Algol, but also Sedna is another asteroid in there. So we have Moon conjunct Juno, Medusa, and Earth. So in esoteric astrology, we have the Earth placement involved, and I don't always look at it, but I do enjoy dabbling with human design from my own lens. So I'll probably talk about that more another time, but there is like a very feminine energy and a grounding, vital, profoundly intense, potentially over fucking whelming energy with this full moon. Not like big bad scary, oh no, it's Scorpio or Libra and we're coming down to, it's more like, well, actually, let me just keep reading. It's that, but it's a little different, in my opinion. So the North Node conjunct Saturn and Neptune and Ceres. Ceres is an asteroid and it is actually like exactly conjunct Saturn. We have Chiron conjunct Eris, which is a beautiful energy. Again, potentially uncomfortable, but maybe it's because like you got to say something and do something that you haven't wanted to, or you've avoided, or you've watered down, and it takes you fully expressing yourself in a certain way, or maybe choosing differently or not expressing yourself in a certain arena or with a certain person and dynamic. Mercury square Pluto, a similar energy, literally communication and information, and that like rebirth energy here with Pluto just having stationed retrograde, and we're now in this full moon phase. So there's that, sort of underbelly of the unconscious or subconscious turning over. I don't know what I'm saying. There is a T square with the moon, Juno, and Medusa, the sun and Uranus, and you could add other things if you wanted, and Pallas Athena in Aquarius. So we have Juno and Medusa and the moon in Libra or Scorpio, sun and Uranus in Aries, Taurus, and then Pallas Athena over in Aquarius area. I think it's in Aquarius in both lenses, but my natal Pallas is in Aquarius. But we'll be playing around with some of this Uranus, Athena energy in just a little bit, and some Venus stuff as well. So the moon is quintile Pluto. That's a minor aspect, as well as the moon quincunx Jupiter. And we have the moon trining Ceres and Saturn. And then this last one here is the moon sesquare. It's also sesquadrate Venus. So these are upcoming things. Will I read all of them? No, I won't. On the 13th, so to day after the full moon, sidereal-ish, so depending on the lens, the sun moves to Taurus. So we've got this like weekend sum of solid Taurus energy. On the 16th, the best day of the year, Venus ends its post-retrograde phase. Yes, I do this a lot because I don't know what's going on here. So like might as well. Like, is it? It's up to you to decide. Okay, so on the 17th, it's more exactish with the sun conjuncting Uranus and Mercury will be squaring Mars. This is like a culminative energy when there was all the retrograde energy, Venus, Mercury, Mars in the end of last year and the beginning of this year. So there was a Mercury retrograde that aligned with Mars retrograde and a Mercury retrograde that aligned with Venus retrograde. So there's some sort of like turning culmination point here, like I mentioned earlier, paradigm shift. And we've been in that for a long time, especially since like 2012, 2017, 2020, 2022, and 23. Like there are these moments where it accelerates. Um, I do want to mention that the tropical sun will move to Gemini around the 20th, and tropical Saturn on the 24th moves to Aries. That's exciting. We have the new moon on the 26th or 27th, sidereal Taurus, tropical Gemini. And on the 30th, the sun will conjunct Mercury. So that energy that can be a little intense. But I am not an astrologer, so I'm not necessarily going to tell you how to see it all. Not that you're looking for me to tell you how to see it all, but I say go for it and choose to see the support and might sound weird, but I'm saying the lubrication to flow in the direction that you want to rather than repeating a cycle where even with astrology, sometimes it's like, oh no, this is this the sun near Mercury. It's this really intense energy. Mind you, I think life is continuously intense in different ways, even when it is joyful and amazing. So to each their own. Now I'm going to get into some of this. I'm going to read for a little bit. We've got quite a bit of slides to go through. So sit back or don't, whatever. Uranus and Taurus conjunct the sun. Uranus as a modern ruler of Aquarius, Aquarius being traditionally ruled by Saturn, and Aquarius being called the son of man. Uranus is here to stir up and shake out the old dead cells of decadent ideas and opinions, and ere long, some rays of light will dawn on dark mental horizons. That's from the zodiac and the salts of salvation. And Venus, in some lenses, arose from the frothy foam of the sea at the wounding of Uranus, Aphrodite, the foam born. Wound, etymology, pierce, cut the tissue of the body. Also, having been subject to winding, that which has been fully wound, or that has been fully wound. Wind meaning to move by turning and twisting. Wound, you could say round and round, or bound and wound up tight like a clock. A note that copper's reaction with salt water is quite interesting as copper ions drift into the air after contact, beyond the whole erosion and corrosion aspect and process. Aquarius, the water bearer. Uranus, or Uranus's genitals cut off by Cronus slash Saturn. Saturn representing time. The winding of time sure seems to have an emphasis here at this marker. And I will note, Aquarius is the water from the urn being Saturn. Sat, seed. I'm going to write that right here. Let's see. Oh, like I said, bear with me. My laptop says I need help or you need to get a new one. Sat, seed, urn, Aquarius as the water from the urn of Sat, seed. I'm pretty sure there's a catbird outside of my window, but take it with a grain of salt. Roll with me here. Um, Aphrodite Urania. This is, and I'm not going to get into the other version of what this is playing on. So again, if you feel called to, you should go look into it more. Just for today. I'll probably expand on other things in the future. But given that I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous and sweaty, I don't want to be perceived. I just had to do it. So this is what we got. Aphrodite Urania, a spiritual or heavenly aspect, the elder, having no mother, connected to a noble celestial love of the body, the soul, and the mind, as opposed to lust and sexualization. A nod to the aspect of Venus sesquare the moon, which let's look at really quickly. If you're not familiar what that aspect is, it's described as a minor aspect. It can be called, I can do this, sesquiquadrate, sesquiquadrate. You see it right there in the left, okay? For some reason, I have such a hard time saying this. Sesqui square, sexy square, or sesquare. That's the easiest way to say it, really. And this is an angle or an aspect that our two placements are 135 degrees apart. What does that mean? This is similar to that of the square, which is conscious tension of brewing that needs to be, something needs to shift or alchemize or be moved in some way or be connected in some way. So similar to that of the square and the semi-square, it belongs to the group of analytical aspects divisible by two, which create tension and challenge us to work and learn. But the conflict is less apparent than with the square. So it is easier for us to suppress, making it more difficult to learn from the challenge. This energy tends to indicate a smoldering conflict that one would prefer to ignore. Any relief would then tend to be short-lived. Sesquares also indicate a theme of long-term and stubborn nature. So there is what I call a saturation point. There has arisen this saturation point, and you are not just done with other people's bullshit, but your own bullshit. And you don't have to look at it that way. I just like to playfully look at it that way. I'm done with my bullshit. So again, this is smoldering. This is under the surface, which is very Taurian and Uranian and Uranian. I will show a little bit more of that in a bit. So some say that Uranian love describes male homosexual relations. You could say that Uranus and Taurus is surely causing quite the stir as people are especially triggered by how others choose to identify. Venus has many interpretations that I will not be getting into now, but I just wanted to highlight a popular piece of art called The Birth of Venus. Um, and it's a version of Venus rising from the sea. Here, Venus is stationed upon a scallop. And I'll show you in a bit. Look at the scallop's many eyes. This reminds me of the biblical description of an angel. And so I love that this is the scallop's eye. Look at these eyes. And look, doesn't it look like maybe that does not how you say it. And if you've ever seen them move, they can move pretty fast. And they were huge. Like apparently before certain shifts here, the scallops were friggin' huge to the point where, yeah, like a human could be like, oh, just came out of the scallop. But let me show you because I guess I forgot to put that here. I thought I did, but let's look at that birth of Venus so you can catch the vibe of what I'm talking about. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, at least to some degree. Um, yeah, why don't I just copy it and put it there? Got this song that I wrote stuck in my head. Maybe I'll sing it at the end, even though that terrifies me. I'm just gonna do all the things that terrify me and make me throw up and sweat my boobs off. Okay, so this is the birth of Venus, baby. That's a scallop shell. And scallops are super cool. There's a lot of other symbology and sims signs we could look within this painting, and we're not going to, like I said. I also want to note that we're in morning star evening time, so that's Lucifer. Um, but I really dig this, like I said. Scallop. I'll have more to say about that. I love me mollusks. Another note about mollusks. The purple trade, not focusing on the purple king right now, but if you feel called with the purple trade, the purple king, the color purple energy of what I'm saying, go look into that. The color purple has been in ancient times produced by a sea snail excretion. And this was a certain kind of sea snail excretion or secretion that is milky white but turns a shade of purple or violet when exposed to oxygen. And so there's other colors. It's another thing I'll talk about. Colors are fascinating, but the source of certain colors throughout history, it's just an interesting focus to see the meanings and the depth connected to certain trades and hierarchies of symbology. Like if you wear this color, you are special. And there's different lenses on that as well. But I did want to have a little nod again to a different mollusk. So we have the scallop here. We have that sesquare, Venus, and the moon. And then we have this scallop, a salty sea of possibility. Focus with Uranus, considering its closeness to the sun for this full moon phase. And in the lenses I showed earlier, take it or leave it. Like I said, I'm not here to prove anything or be an astral ogre. So Uranus and Taurus, it's in Taurus all around, all those lenses that I showed. And therefore, there's a bit of a focus on Venus with the Taurus energy there. And the moon is near Juno, which is opposite this energy. So there's just a lot of these layers of what I am just referring to as feminine energy. We have the sea energies with the water bearer Aquarius, the air sign, being chemically related to the, I spelled it wrong, chlorody. Let me fix that. Um, Sodium chloride, it's also called natrium muriaticum or natmer. Oh, oh, mer, mer. AKA salt. Like if you buy some salt, it's sodium chloride. And a nod to Juno, the queen of the gods, and to Sailor Juno from the Sailor Mars story, or Sailor Moon. Sailor Mars just worked her way in there. I was her for Halloween once. Sailor Moon storylines. So let's look at that for a sec. We have Ceres, Pallas, Juno, and Vesta, the queen asteroids. And in the Sailor Moon storyline, they're called the Sailor Quartet. They're four sailor guardians who are to awaken as Chibi-Usa's bodyguards in the future, the 30th century, and they appear in the manga Crystal and Select Sarah Mayu. So there's Ceres, the leader, Pallas, Juno, and Vesta. The sailor quartet rested in the Amazon jungle, awaiting the day they would protect their princess, Sailor Chibi Moon. Unfortunately, they were found and prematurely released by Queen Nehelenia of the Dead Moon Circus. She corrupted them and turned them into Seri Seri, Pala Pala, June June, and Vesves, making the Amazonas quartet who would work for the Dead Moon Circus. The members of the quartet are the Sailor Guardians. They're the first four asteroids discovered in the solar system, Ceres, Pallas, Juno, and Vesta, and they were found at the start of the 1800s. And it was 38 years until another was found. In this time, they were considered proper planets before many other asteroids were discovered, forcing their status as planets to be reevaluated. In the time since Naoko Takeuchi wrote Sailor Moon, Ceres has been recategorized again, this time as a dwarf planet. So there's a lot of lore if you want to look into more than 13 sign astrology as well, where Ceres falls in. Um, it's not going to be a constellation, but there's a lot of more detail in lore, you could say, like more layers, if you want to go in that direction. Like, there's many different astrological lenses. So the views of the asteroids, but only if you want to. Okay, what am I saying here? Let's go to this next page. Okay. Although Netflix, I believe, has the Sailor Moon Crystal movies, and if you want to watch them, they're fun and they are definitely aligned with the eclipses. And I stand by that Sailor Moon has some of the most accurate storylines to what's going on here. Okay, so Juno, the glyph. It's a star placed over the cross of matter, or a specter. So it's a scepter. So this is interesting because that's how Algol is described in certain lenses. Let me see. Let me see. The specter's head. Caput larvae, the specter's head. Um, so there's a lot of connections here with things that don't maybe seem outright connected, but they are because everything's connected. And one of my favorite things to do is find everything in anything. Okay, so Juno is also Hera, and this is the wife of Jupiter slash Zeus, depending on the lens. And there's many other stories and lore out there. She is the daughter of Saturn or Cronus and Ops. She was to wear a goatskin cloak. And here we have a nod to Pallas Athena, or to Athena and Pallas Athena in Aquarius, and Athena's shield, the Aegis, both Pallas and Athena being mentioned earlier. So there's this goatskin cloak and this goatskin shield and this energy with the Aegis, which I'll talk about from Ascension Glossary. I'm not a Keylontics cult member, but I do like seeing what weaves together in certain ways. We have some of this etymology here. Euven, fertile time. Venus. It's kind of funny because it sounds like Venus. He who has the fullness of vital force. And here I said, may the fourth be with you. We have Vare, to aid, to benefit, and Venesere, which to me looks like Venus and Ceres, rejuvenate, which, see, I underlined it because this seems to be a theme for this moon. Juno is the 13th largest asteroid, and it could be considered the smallest, but maybe mightiest of the queen asteroids, and it sits between Mars and Jupiter. Some connect Juno with Libra and Scorpio, which is fitting for this moon phase, given that it's in sidereal Libra and tropical Scorpio. Juno in mythology was cheated on a lot by Zeus, but remained loyal and faithful. She and the asteroid energy carry themes of betrayal, resentment, jealousy, justice, commitment, sweet snuggliness, ride or die-ness, and unhinged rage. Juno is also conjunct my natal sun, not right now, but in my natal chart. So I've got Juno and Algol, and Medusa's near my Jupiter, which is right near my sun. Okay. Juno asks us, what do we need to feel safe and loved? The full moon is said to be an ideal time to accept a proposal of marriage. Here, let us examine self-betrayal and commitment to self, marrying ourselves. This energy is not just about romantic and sexual relationships. It is connected to our style of relating, to trust, but also to heartbreak. And again, this is beyond romantic and sexual relationships. So the heartbreak of just life and different experiences. Juno also carries peacock themes. Although to me it is a little funny that a peahen is not honored here because the peacock is the male. But I digress. Many eyes. I don't know why I just did it like that. This is a peacock, but then I did like the guy from was that movie, Labyrinth? Um, Many eyes, like, is not Labyrinth, but what, it's the Pan. Okay, sorry. Many eyes like the scallop. Unbreakable loyalty and a tragic story of incarnation from a sea of memory. How can we remain loyal to ourselves? Don't fuck people over. Just accept the mind fuck that is life. We have a little bit of ascension glossary, like I mentioned, 7 core tones, crystalla. That's not what it says, or it says crystal. There is a frequency, tone, and geometry recorded in the silicate matrix of the DNA that is being imprinted in new ways with the crystal tone. So this is from January 2013. This is a large aurora project that has to do with the re-encryption of the flesh and therefore DNA elements through connection with the 7 sacred sons of crystal star. These 7 tones of original creation are broken down into Ka, Ra, Ya, Sa, Ta, A, La. When we tone these individually, they hold a piece of a larger schematic that fits into the unified crystal star or Christos blueprint. The crystal star suggests that sounding or communicating with these tones in meditation, prayer, music, or breath work is helpful for aurora re-encryptions. To refocus the mind, break through mind control patterns, and integrate the crystal aegis diamond breastplate to support the soul matrix and oversoul monad integration between the bodies. These 7 core tones connect and then unify the 7 sacred sons of crystal star. If you're not familiar with Keylontic science or ascension glossary, like I said, I like to share things from different views, but I'm not necessarily fully like having these glasses on and aligned with all of it. Um, so take it with a grain of salt, but also go look at Ascension Glossary if you want to. So I'll read one more thing from that website. The crystal aegis diamond breastplate, and of course I'm mentioning this because of the mention of Athena's aegis breastplate and tying in this Juno energy. So Juno, um, okay, let me just read this. The crystal aegis, Ka, breastplate's purpose is to prepare the body to receive the 7 core crystalla tones in the double diamond sun body, which I just read this, connect to the 7 sacred sons, to set the inner foundation to build and activate the gems in the crystal aegis breastplate to activate these 7 tones to protect the physical body, diamond heart, and soul bodies. These rainbow pastels are moving lights of frequency that source from the aurora diamond light that move in specific patterns as a reaction to the crystal consciousness mirror, ball sphere, or crystal kaleidoscope when they are being observed. Well, they have a meditation. So energetic synthesis, she has the meditation if you want it. Let's look at Juno a little bit more, though. Sailor Juno, specifically. So the name Juno can have these roots in different words like D of, love, or EU Venus, youth is what this one says. But all these words meanings linked to the same Roman goddess of marriage and birth. Sailor Juno's name comes from one of the large main asteroid belts, and Juno being the third asteroid discovered, along with Ceres, Vesta, and Pallas. So Juno represents our ideal marriage partner, our view on long-term relationships, and our relationships with commitment overall. The sign that Juno is in shows the energy that works for us in long-term relationships. So collectively, we have Libra or Scorpio. The house placements shows what area of life we may find ourselves being committed to and what area of life we may want a long-term partner integrated into. So I put the 3 up there at the top here. I just pointed to it instead of with my pointer. If you want to go to astro.com and look up that, you can type in 3 in the additional objects section and see where it is in your natal chart. And if you have no idea what I'm saying, just comment and I'll do my best to explain it. Juno in conjunction to or with major aspects with any other planets or asteroids or placements means the energy within that placement adds to what you look for in long-term connections. In synastry and composite charts, Juno can show soul contracts with other people and can be used as a marriage indicator. Here we have Nath, Taurus's horns. So the sun is also aligning not just with fixed star Algol, but Nath. It's as well. Nath is called Beta Tauri. So it's a star in the Taurus constellation. This is considered a chemically peculiar star, just like you. that Uranian uniqueness. Fox, hi. I'll be done soonish. Where are you? My kitty cat. Okay, so Nath or Nath is the budding. And don't forget that the full moon phase is a great time to fully moon someone, the budding. But the budding of the bull's horns is what we're looking at here. And if there was ever a full moon to have this energy, it's this one. Uranus in Taurus, the sun mostly in Taurus, and then that, Scorpio or Libra lens. It's making you look at something in a way where you don't have to say, oh, I'm my own worst enemy, but like maybe your perspective has been the thing that needs to shift, and that's the hurdle that you've had to get through. The horns here we could also look at as the hippocampus. And let us recollect more clearly as omniscience ignites our peripheral visions, amplify and clarify. Let us change the story so the story perceivably and holographically changes. Taurus, cerebellum, subconscious, peripheral. So we have this little primary visual cortex thing. That's not just Taurus energy. This encompasses the cerebellum and the cerebrum. So cerebrum being Aries, cerebellum being Taurus. We'll look more at this kind of stuff in another video. But doesn't this part with the eyes look like the Taurus glyph and constellation to some degree? And although Aries is the face, Taurus has a lot to do with how we perceive and see in other ways. And it's not as vocal as Gemini, so you could say it is our telepathic foundation. I'll open the window in a little bit, okay? Copper, see yourself through the copper mirror. Copper comes from the Latin word cuprum, which is connected to Cyprus, a land known in ancient times and texts for its copper content. So it's near Greece. Copper is one of the few metals that can occur in nature in a directly usable metallic form and is one of the few metallic elements with a natural color other than gray or silver. It is soft and highly electrically conductive, like you and Uranus and Taurus. It is said to be the first metal to be smelted into sulfide ores, to be cast into a shape in a mold, and to be purposely alloyed with another metal, tin, to create bronze. Tin is a Virgo energy as well. It's that earth, air, and earth and air, Libra, Venus, Libra and Taurus with Venus, Virgo, and then whatever, I'll stop there. Copper salts are involved in the creation of the colors in crystals like azurite, malachite, and turquoise. And it is also said that women have about 20% higher copper serum in their blood compared to men. Venus is the brightest planetary body after the sun, connected to gold, and the moon connected to silver. So it is therefore paired with the third metal, copper. Take this all with a grain of salt. We will touch more on copper and blood stuff as well at some point. RX, prescriptions from Pluto and Juno. The two major retrogrades that are active are Pluto and Juno. Go within the retrograde, like step back or step within. And mind you, if you're born like me with a retrograded Pluto, it might be not necessarily opposite, but kind of like me posting this video after Pluto goes retrograde. It's like scary for me, but I'm like, it's time. So, feel into that for yourself. And also, you are not your chart anyway. So do what you want. Pluto etymology. Reference to the god of wealth and riches, precious gems and metals coming from beneath the earth, from part of his realm, the god of the underworld. In 1930, when Pluto was named, an alternative name for the planet was Minerva, which is Athena, and this is very Virgoan, and also we talked about Athena already. And it's from the word plu, meaning to flow. Pluto is often correlated with Scorpio, as well as the eighth house, carrying the themes of underworld, compulsion, death and rebirth, regeneration, renewal, sex, transformation, the unconscious, the sub and unconscious as a focus, is a theme with the other fluidic or water elements, Cancer with the moon and Pisces with Neptune. So where is Pluto? Within. We have all of the planets in the zodiacal archetypes anatomically and physiologically, both physically and metaphysically. Here I added some things. On the left, you see chakras, and then on the right, well, and you see auric layer as well, a little bit. So some different things listed out. So let me explain. We have the seventh chakra. It's the crown chakra. It's violet, connected to Libra, connected to the pineal gland. There's a little explanation, and then we have the sun listed there because in some lenses, when you're looking at the chakras, people pair them with planets. So you could look at your personal planets and these chakras. So here with the lens I looked at is the sun, but there's a couple different lenses. So sometimes I can add a lot of information, but it's because I like playing around with a bunch of stuff. But we have the causal or catheric auric layer there. Then we have and so you can also look at this as the dimension. It's the second chakra, the sacral plexus, orange color, connected to Taurus, connected to the ovaries, the testes, the lighting gland. And we have Jupiter and Venus because one of the lenses says Jupiter is paired with the second chakra, and one of them said Venus. And I just can't decide. The emotional body is the auric layer connected there. So I'm not going to read all the physiology here, but I did include Taurus and Libra just simply to not overload, although I did add this page in with, I'll touch on that in a bit. So it's up to you. Like I said, if you want to screenshot stuff or go into it more, it's whatever. I just wanted to start somewhere here with this channel. So, the idea is that we have this like auric layer, right? And so we don't need to go deep into this, but we can take it with a grain of salt, like I keep saying, or a grain of sugar or whatever. And so we see the first chakra is this red one, and that's connected to the first auric layer. And the first auric layer is like the etheric body. This is like the energetic matrix that the physical cells grow around or grow upon. And they say that this Taurus field, not Taurus like Taurus, but I like to say, yeah, it is. Maybe some people say it moves like this, moves like this. The energy moves. And so we're looking at that second layer with Taurus and Venus, and that is connected to and so Libra, the reason I touched on Libra is because it's the other placement connected to Venus. So it's not just about the sidereal moon, it's about Venus themes with this page. So the emotional body is also sometimes called the pain body because we have this opportunity to transmute a lot at that level, but we need to actually take action and be consciously aware of it. So the idea in a light sense is that like we have emotional body and then maybe things move out to that mental body and we can logically say, oh, I got that rash because of A, B, C, when maybe there's more involved than we are consciously aware of. And I just did this because I relate the conscious memory to the focused foveal eyesight and the peripheral eyesight to the subconscious or unconscious memory or lens here. So we are not all aware of everything necessarily, and we won't talk about it right now, but with reincarnation and stuff, it's like the idea is that there's a memory wiping going on. And I haven't talked about it yet, but a lot of my memory did not get wiped. And so I'm very confused about a lot of things here a lot of the time. However, it's said that this seventh layer, the one connected to Libra, contains like all of the lives you've lived in other earthly lives. So like the idea is that this energy moves, but if we don't deal with the emotional component, it may be more likely to swirl around and come back to us in different forms and ways. So we got to like keep it real with ourselves. So I did include more information here. So like I added some things where we have, the Libra sidereal moon, Taurus, tropical sun, and Uranus in all the lenses. Sidereal sun with Aries, And then I added the same things here, but I added also the Scorpio layer with the eighth dimension because I didn't have all the chakras. I'm just working with what I already made prior to this video. So we have the tropical moon and Juno in Scorpio there. And then I included Aquarius because we have that Pallas Athena and, of course, all those Uranus or Uranus themes. Okay, so what here? Oh, these cards that I pulled. So I'm going to read these cards and then hop off of here. So first card I pulled, and I want to say that I pulled these cards just from these three decks, and then I have some Colorstrology pages for May 12th and 13th to read, but I left these decks outside the other day, and it only rained a little bit, thankfully, but I didn't even realize I left them outside, and so that is how I chose them to be the ones that I wanted to pull some cards from. So just one from each. This one is called The Shadow, as you can see. Gaia pulls the veil of the universe high into the heavens to reveal the lines of moons spinning down the Milky Way from dark to full and back again. Her action turns around, giving us the time to delineate between the waking moments and the dreamlike states that murmur into our ears. The shadow phases of the moon provides us with the perspective to see clearly. Use this time to discern reality from imagination. When the planet is in its shadow phase, it is a powerfully magical time that allows us to see. So maybe this is like a full moon to new moon encouragement to observe. It is an honor to gain access to the dreams of the universe. Use this time wisely. The meanings are follow your dreams and allow the childlike magic to flow into your life. And I included that it was on page 31 in case that meant anything to you. Next, we have the slice. So this first card is from the Dreamscape Oracle, and then this is from the Audacity deck by the Pine Torch. Card number 22 on page 22, the slice. When the moon hits your eye, like a big pizza pie, that's amore. Dean Martin, your message. Any way you slice it, you're hooked. You're besotted. You're smitten. You're completely obsessed. You are in it deep with all the toppings. Whatever it is you're fixated on has all of your attention. It's stuck to you like ooey, gooey. It doesn't say ooey, but I said it. Gooey cheese. And you deserve it. So this could be a nod to that, like, analyzation or evaluation of your own commitment to your own self. Are you obsessed with yourself? I hope so. So we have the 12th and the 13th, and this is from this book called Colorstrology, What Your Birthday Color Says About You by Michele Bernhardt. Whoa, whoops. So it's just every day of the year. Take it all with a grain of salt or do whatever you want with it. Kala or Kala, I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know how you say. Green. Profound, wise, and responsible. So this says if you were born on this day, but the way I do this when I share these for dates is just to feel into the energy of this transit. So you are a force to be reckoned with. You have a strong character and will not take a backseat to anyone. Being true to yourself is extremely important. You are curious and have a way with words. Seeing what is hidden under the surface is one of your gifts. Your personal color helps you express and communicate your perceptions in a detached and profound manner. Wearing, meditating on, or surrounding yourself with Kala green can help you integrate love with money. You can look at these instead of compatible birthdays, just as different days you could pay attention to if you want to. April 12th, June 15th, September 23rd. And then at the bottom there, it says the Pantone number. So I'm only so good at taking pictures of these in the sun. If you want to see the true color, you might be better off going to the Pantone website and typing in that number there, 18-0435. And those numbers might also be another sign or clue or whatever for you. So I also included the 13th because in certain places in the world, the moon will be occurring fully on the 13th. So I don't know how you say this, and I probably could have looked it up. But I'm saying it piquant, piquant, piquant green. Solid, interesting, persistent. There is something unusual and provocative about you. People find you interesting and attractive. You are solid and persistent and continue to pursue when others give up. You know how to progress toward your goals. You will be asked to change and adapt to different situations as you move through life. Turning point, saturation point, paradigm shift. This color helps you with change. This color helps you change with the times. Wearing, meditating on, or surrounding yourself with this color green reminds you that there are different ways to achieve your desires and that the skills you acquire on the journey enrich you as much as arriving at your destination. The dates here are January 9th, June 21st, and August 19th, and the Pantone number is 17-0235. So it's funny, both of those end in 35. Maybe that's another sign for you. And look, this flower card, the last card and the last slide I'll share. Well, I have one more slide, but it just says this. Thank you. And there's my face. Kala, how do you say it? Kala lily? Kala? Is it Kala or is it Kala? Does it matter? You know it. You see what I'm saying. Rejuvenation. The word came up again. Reawaken and then stand stronger. So thank you. And I will be back soon, sometime, to share something else. I hope you enjoy this and my very sort of thrown together slides and video. I hope that it goes well. All right, bye. Happy full moon, and don't forget to moon someone if that's your thing.